Hello, and welcome to another banger of an episode of the D Hope podcast. We are excited that you are joining us today. And today we have a very special guest who is the eldest brother of my wonderful co host, Mrs. Hope Wilson. We have Dexter Eugene in the place today. Thank you for being with us, Dexter. I have heard a lot about you already, but I'm ready to hear it from you, brother. Ready to hear it from you.
All right.
Yeah. So just tell me, start by telling me a little bit about your upbringing, like where you're from, where you grew up, how you grew up.
Well, I'm from Clanton, Alabama. Well, from Forbina, really a little smaller town, but I was the oldest first, and I got two little. Well, I got my sister, and then I got two little brothers. It's like 10 years younger than me, also. And I don't know, man. It was just always the first one to get into everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you were the first anyway.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, I don't know. Growing up back in Alabama, it was a good, it was a good spot to grow up for sure. Like I love my family. Like I got one of the best families in the world. You know what I mean? Like I come from a really big
Yeah.
family. I would have so much cousins. Like some of my best memories is at my grandpa's house. After church. So that was
Yeah.
always like my favorite day. I might not go to church, but I'll be there afterwards. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I feel you.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it was a good little spot. Like I said, it wasn't the best situation in some points, but I mean, life is what you make it, I guess. You gotta move past all that at some point, and that's what I'm trying to do now. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
up in West Virginia now, so long way from
Okay.
home.
Yeah. Are you planning to stay in West Virginia or to plant new
Well,
roots, or what are you doing?
right now, I'm on parole. I just got out Friday. Been out a week, so like, there's just so much I gotta take care of before I can really possibly transfer
Yeah.
or really go anywhere right now. But yeah, I got two kids up here that 10 and 11 years old, and they've always been real important to me. So I'm really looking forward to get back in their life and just
Yeah.
picking up the pieces that it was just so much lost time, and it's just hard. So that's what I'm trying to do now. So
Yeah. So how long were you in?
just 2.5 years this last time.
Okay.
Yeah,
So there's been kind of like an in and out situation.
yeah, yeah. My whole life, man. I've got 16 years incarcerated or on parole, like 13 years really locked up. So like my mind
Before
just don't function like an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Dex,
what
yeah. So before we go into kind of like the in and out of kind of like where you are now today, take us back to where it all started and how it progressed into having to spend years in and out of jail and prison and things like that. So take us back to the beginning where you feel like things started to unravel and behavior started to manifest.
All right. Well, I don't know. I remember being like just real young and always hanging out with the older crowd. You know what I mean? Like always trying to anyway. Like I always like my mom was real strict, so like I had to sneak around and do everything I was doing. Like I could never really, um, I don't know, like experience a lot of the things. I don't know, like whenever it all first started, I guess was whenever I was 10 or 11. I remember just sneaking out with all the older guys, and they would be smoking weed. So I remember I was like 11 or 12 whenever I first smoked weed. And the first sack I ever bought was at school and I got caught. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so it was like I should have figured out from that point, like, okay, this isn't for me. Because the very first time I bought a sack of weed, I went to jail and I was like 13 years old. And I got kicked out of school. My granny had to come pick me up. I still remember it. And it was just it was just a crazy time. But
Yeah.
and then after
Now what
that,
did Granny say when she had to pick you up?
she
What was
just
that
couldn't
like?
believe it. She was shocked. I still remember riding home, and I was so scared to get back to Papa's house. I was like, oh my god, because I just wasn't really raised in that environment. You know what I mean? So it was just, she just couldn't believe it. She didn't know what I was thinking, She couldn't believe it. I was so young. And whenever I went back, just the whole family gave me a hard time about it, which, I mean, they should. I was a kid, trying to smoke weed and run around in school. And back then it wasn't cool. You can do it now, but you can't do it then, But so after that, I remember like drinking like here and there. But the very first time I ever drank was with my Uncle Sid, my dad's brother. I was over there and he was drinking Zimas and I started drinking Zimas, And Uncle Sid was always the crazy uncle. You could just get away with murder at his house. So I would sneak over there after school or whenever and just hang out with him. But then I remember, it escalated into the weed and the smoking, the drinking. And then I remember stealing some Xanax from my mom at a young age. I still remember one time, I drank some shots and like literally took Xanax on the way to school. I was a kid, like, and I remember getting to school and was just so trash and I got away with it. I didn't get caught. I guess because I was so young, they didn't expect this dude's drunk on Xanax, because I was a baby, But
yeah.
So, and then me and my mom just had just to be honest, we had a toxic relationship like when I was younger. So it was just, I don't know, I was always just trying to get away from the house and do something else. But after all that, I guess.
What were you trying to get away from?
And just the home environment was toxic for me. I mean, you was there, you know what I mean? But like me and her and my brother, we all lived there and we have totally different childhoods. Like, you know what I mean? Totally different experiences, totally different upbringing. I don't know if it was just my mom was trying to figure it all out because I was the first one, but and then my stepdad at the time, that was just a bad situation too. So it was rough, you know what I mean, for a while there. But eventually I got sick of it and I moved in with my dad as soon as I could. And then it just went.
How old were you when you moved in with your dad?
Around 15. Yeah, I was 15. And he worked out of town a lot, and I was just a burden on my stepmom. I know I was, you know what I mean? Like, because I was just like progressing, like, now it ain't just drinking, it ain't just Xanax, it ain't just weed. Now it's cocaine, you know what I mean? And the cocaine was just, it got really bad. Like when I was 15, it got really, really bad. And, I was smoking crack sometime. I remember the first time I smoked crack, I went over there and I was hanging out with this other dude from school and I was like, man, can you get any powder? He's like, no, but man, the neighbor's got some crack. I was like, I ain't smoking crack. You know what I mean? Yeah. That ain't what I do. You know what I mean? But eventually I went over there and started drinking and ended up smoking crack. I never really did like the crack thing though. So that's never really been my thing, but like I've done it a few times, but at the end of the day, like everything was just falling apart in my life. I was self-destructing. Like I had a good opportunity and, you know what I mean? I just everything good in my life, it seems like I always push away. You know what I mean? Like self-destruct. Like you can hand me $1 million and I'll go gambling. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's just, it don't make no sense. So now I'm in the process of just trying to, I don't know, change the way I think. I'm trying to change the people I'm around. Like just everything in my life, like Coke told me when I got out, she said, everything you would have done in the past, do something different, do the exact opposite. And I'm trying to do that. I mean, it's all coming together for me, but we'll go back to all that. So when I was 15, I was living with my dad. It just like, I've always liked the women, you know what I mean? Like just, I've never had that problem, I don't guess. So like, that's whenever I really got the experience of becoming, like I lost my virginity at 13, but like whenever I got 15, I moved to Wetumpka and it was a 5A school. There was so many women there. Like, so I was having sex with all these different girls and just partying a lot. And like I said, I ruined that opportunity and I ended up getting kicked out. I called in a bomb threat one day and this is right after 9/11. Like it was crazy. Okay. And yeah, it was the same year. And I just didn't want to take a history test. That's all it was. Like I knew I had to pass this to go on and I didn't want to take it. So I called in a bomb threat thinking I could get away with it. Well, they wasn't playing about that back then. So they come to
Right.
the school, figured it out, and arrested me, and I got kicked out of that school. And then I went to this other alternative school for the rest of the year when my dad just couldn't handle me. So he sent me to my uncle to my Florida with my uncle's house, and he's a retired parole officer. So needless to say, he was by the book, you know, and
Yeah.
just strict on me. But like Uncle Eugene's like probably one of my favorite people in this whole world because like he's really been there like throughout everything I've been through, and I've been through a lot, you know what I mean? So like I promise I'm not gonna get emotional. So I was trying to tell myself earlier, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? But
It's okay if you do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay if you do.
but so I moved down there, and it was cool, man. Like just so long ago, you know. And but I was working on the beach. I was there for like a week. I was driving this Jeep. I got a DUI. I haven't had my license a week. You know what I mean? I get my
Yeah.
first DUI. And I will never forget when he come to pick me up from the jail. Like I was sitting in the jail, and whenever they ran my name, they was like Dexter Eugene Mims, and they was like, "Oh, do you know Eugene Mims?" I'm like, "Well, I'm in his Jeep, you know what I mean?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
uncle," and they know how he is, you know. They just started laughing and shaking their head. It was like, "You're in trouble,"
Like,
you know
oh,
what I
he's
mean?
in
So,
for it. Yeah.
yeah. So, so whenever I go to jail, and I won't never forget it, man. Whenever they was like, "Mims, your uncle's here," and I'm like, "I just want to stay with you," you know what I mean? Whenever I
Yeah.
walked out, I won't ever forget it. He's like, got his leather jacket on. He's standing out in the Sally Port because he's back in like the booking area, you know. And
Yeah.
he just looks at me, don't say nothing. We're on the way back home. It's like an hour ride from the Funiac. So whenever we're pulling up, when we're driving back, he said, "You just smell like a brewery." And he rolled the window down because we was drinking 151 the night before, and I was 16. You know what I mean? I couldn't even walk. I shouldn't have been driving. So
Yeah.
like whenever we got home, he locked me out the house, and he was like, "You're gonna cut the grass today, and you're gonna do all this." And I was so hungover, so I just slept like in the shade, you know. And he come home and made me cut the grass and do all that. Like, he was like a drill instructor sometimes, but
Yeah.
he's like my best friend to this day, like one of them. And
Yeah.
but yeah, you know, he tried everything he could do. I was playing football as a star quarterback, uh, like had everything for real. Like we had just had it all. Like you know, you just see somebody in high school, you're like, man, they're gonna be successful. They got it figured out. Like I had the that part figured out, but like I was just everything else in my life was chaotic. You know what I mean? Like school and
Yeah.
girls was easy, but everything else was, you know, falling apart. So after that, I ended up getting kicked out of that school because I got an aggravated assault charge and got arrested on that. And down there, you can't play sports if you're an athlete. So that's all I had, you know, was football. Like that's what I played since I was 5 years old. So um, I really fell off then. My uncle told me, he said, "You don't have to go to school." He said, "You're 16." He's like, "If you don't want to go to school, you don't have to." He said, "But you're going to work." So I start working, and I'm framing houses down there, and just living a dream, really. You know what I mean? Like I ain't got to go to school. I'm 16. Like I'm living in Florida at the beach. Like it was just, it was awesome. You know what I mean? So I'm doing that. I'm on probation, and I ended up catching another charge for like I bought a stereo that was stolen. The cops found out about it and hit me with receiving stolen property. Well, whenever I'm on probation for the aggravated assault already, then they gave me a chance. They gave me a chance because Uncle Eugene, you know what I mean, really.
Hmm.
But he was like, "I'm not saving you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to save
Yeah.
you. You doing this, I'm not jeopardizing my career for you." So he was like, and he's always been like that. He lived by that. Like he told me I had warrants down there forever. I couldn't go. Everybody in the family would go when I wasn't in prison. And
Yeah.
I called him. I'd be like, "Look, can I slide through?" And he's like, "If you come down here, I'm arresting you."
He's like,
And
I'm
I'd be
doing
like,
it
"All right,
myself.
well, I'm not coming." You know what I mean? So but that's just how he was. But he was like, "If you need anything outside of the Florida state line, I'll be there for you." And he has. So you know, going through all that, then I ended up catching another charge, and then they locked me up as a juvenile. I was supposed to do 6 months in a wilderness program. Well, I didn't know I was supposed to do 90 days in a wilderness program, and I ended up doing 18 months almost, you know what I mean? Like, because I got into a fight there and got sent out of there, got kicked out of that place. And then I went to like a maximum security juvenile facility, which is probably one of the roughest times I've ever did. And I did all this prison time. Like the juvenile facility was one of the roughest. And
Why is that, Dex?
I mean, because the juvenile
how young
facility,
you were?
well, yeah, I mean, well, no. I mean, like the being away from home part, I mean, honestly, that ain't the hard part for me. You know what I mean? Because I've always been away from home. Like,
away from home, yeah.
You know, not being at home ain't nothing to me. Like, because I'm never in Alabama, never at home. You know what I mean? So, like, not being at home, I can deal with the prison time. That's what I was sad. Is like I can do so well. You know what I mean? Like now, but back then it was my first time, and whenever I got locked up, it was just rough. You know what I mean? It was a lot of guys from Jacksonville, Florida. There wasn't but like 10 white dudes in the whole program. You know what I mean? So like we're getting our ass beat all the time, you know, fighting all the time. Like it's always something. And that's whenever, you know, you figure it out. You know, you can either be a prey or be a predator. You know what I mean? Right. Whenever you're behind the wall, you know. So you just got to completely change your whole mindset whenever you're locked up. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get this side of me in prison. You know what I mean? Like you get a completely different animal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well,
yeah. Because it's survival, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like I've been in some really bad spots. Like I've been where people's been raped, people's been murdered. Like, you know what I mean? Like saw dozens of stabbings, been in stabbings. You know what I mean? Been stabbed myself. You know what I mean? 3 different times. You know what I mean? Been beat in the face with a weight, got murdered. You know that this last time. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, but yeah, just to survive, you gotta mentally just change who you are. As soon as you walk through the door, yeah. So I've been doing that for so long, and then whenever you get out, now you can't be that person because you go back to jail. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Now,
yeah.
If you react like you've been reacting all these years, you know, now you're getting another assault charge. You're going back to jail. So now it's just like the point of trying to change the way I think, the way I conduct myself, the way I react to problems. Thank you. Yeah, like I'm at the girls' Oxford house right now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like, you know, they all know I ain't on no, like I'm not on no bullshit. Like I don't got no time for it. If you're not clean and sober, like miss me with it, don't even talk to me. Like I'll be here if you need somebody to talk to, you know what I mean? But like, don't ask me if I want to go kick it and go, you know, get into something, because no, I don't even want to go nowhere with you. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Because I'm not putting myself in that situation right now. I'm too fresh out. Like, but yeah, so going back to the juvenile thing, it was really rough. So, but my uncle come and saw me every week. You know what I mean? Like he would be in there, but so this is crazy about the place too, because this is how bad it was. The staff would really abusive and beat you up. Like they broke kids' arms, broke their, like, it was really abusive. So my uncle come and tried to see me one time, I think it was, and he couldn't see me at the time because the staff just like beat me up real bad. And these are grown men in the Army and Air Force. That's who all worked there. It was all military guys. And they would just come in there and take all their frustration out on us. You know what I mean? We're 16, 17 years old. We're like, you know, the hell with you. You know what I mean? Like, and we're making you beat us up. You know what I mean? And they are like beating us up like grown men. And when my uncle come that one time, they put my hands behind my back and like ran me through a door that had these magnets and like and just really messed my face up. And my uncle couldn't see me or something. It was some type of situation like that. Or he did get to see me finally, because he wasn't going to be like, oh, you're not going to let me see my nephew. You know what I mean? Right. So, whenever he did finally see me and I finally got to explain to him what was really happening here, you know what I mean? Yeah. He had some pull in Florida, you know, because he's in law enforcement. So he actually got an investigation. Like he almost got that place shut down. Like it was bad. You know what I mean? Well, the dude that ran it, the like the warden, I guess you would say, yeah, he was coming under investigation for all these child charges. So he blew his brains out. Like he killed himself. You know what I mean? So he didn't have to go face all it. He just didn't go to prison. And like it was just a crazy time. So eventually, I finally got out of there when I turned 18, and they couldn't keep me no more. You know what I mean? So my uncle gave me a chance. He gave me the trailer right beside his house. Like this is the part I regret the most in my life. Like one of them anyway. Like I had it all. Like it was just a half a mile from the beach. I had my own little trailer. Like I'm 18 years old, fresh out, and I was working like. And my uncle told me, he was like, look, man, don't be getting high. Don't, throw no crazy parties over here. Just, do right, and I'll be here, and I got you. And what do I do? The very first week he's gone, I throw the killerest party ever. Got like 200 people there. And the neighbors ratted me out. Well, like I had like these 10 girls in the yard for 2 days picking up cigarette butts, like picking up all the trash, all the beer cans. And I tried to hide it from him, but he called me, of course. He called me every time I did anything. But so, but me and him was still on good terms, you know what I mean? And we never really been on bad terms, like honestly. And I mean, that's saying a lot on his part, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so after all that, I was dating this chick, and it just wasn't working out. I was ready to go home. Like I miss home. I was ready to go back to Alabama. And I remember I got my truck. My dad gave me this brand, like my papa's truck, like it was one of the nicest vehicles today I've still had. He still throws it in my face. He's like, I gave me papa's truck. But I had that. It was a really nice F-150, like King Cavalier. It was just really nice, you know what I mean? And so I had that, but I was just homesick. I was ready to go home. And whenever I went home, I won't never forget the trip. Like I drank beer the whole way, and I listened to Sweet Home Alabama, like just jamming. You know what I mean? Windows down, like I'm going home. And it's been so long since I've seen all my family, my friends. So I will never forget it. I pull up at my mom's house, and I get out like I'm stumbling, beer cans is falling out, like I'm home.
Like welcome me.
Yeah, she's just like, she's excited because I'm back though, you know what I mean? She is, because it's been so long. So she's always tried, like in the later years, for sure, like our relationship now is like way better than it's ever been, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But back then, it was just rough on both of us. We've both made a lot of mistakes. But anyway, so I'm living in Alabama, and this is like when it got the worst, I feel like. I was selling cocaine. I've always, like, this is the thing about me, and this is just a fact. If I'm getting high, I'm not broke. Never. Like if I'm getting high, I'm not going to be broke long, like, because I've always like just hustled. And I believe in this, like the secret, and I watch all these videos because I truly believe this because of this reason. Like I believe if you put energy out in the universe, you're going to get stuff back. So if you put positive energy out there and you're trying to do the right thing, you're going to get good stuff back. With me, I was always putting out energy where I was trying to find the best drug dealer for the lowest price that would front me something. You know what I mean? Period. Mm-hmm. That's all my energy went to, every day, all day. And whoever can help me make the most money the fastest, that's what I'm trying to do. So I can blow it all on women, and you know what I mean, and nothing else. You know what I mean? Like have all this money and I had nothing to show for it. But so I was selling cocaine, and I will never forget, like that wasn't really the bad. It didn't really get that bad then. But then I went to his house one night, and he was like, man, I ain't got no coke, but I got something new, and it'll be here around 12 o'clock. And it was like 10:30. And I was trying to hook up with the girl that lived there anyway. So I was like, I'll just hang out. And so I'm hanging out with her, and then I will never forget, man, it was my one of my step cousins, Madman, a buddy of mine. I ain't gonna say his name, but he passed away now, overdosed. But anyway, Matt, and somebody else walks through the door, and I'm like, well, whatever they was waiting on's here. You know what I mean? Because it's 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I walk in there, and it's a pound of meth. You know what I mean? So I was like, damn. So he was like, look, I'll just give you this. So he started giving me, ice up front. And that's like, whenever you're not used to doing meth, when you first start, like it just completely takes a hold of you. You know what I mean? Especially at 18. So I just lost my mind, like I'm just running nonstop, like for 6 months. I won't ever forget it. Like just never stopping. I don't even think I ate 6 months. Like, it's just like, I don't remember doing anything but running and gunning just all the time. And doing a whole bunch of nothing. You know what I mean? Like just not getting nothing really accomplished, but just staying with money in my pocket and never run out of dope. That was the goal. You know what I mean? Not run out of dope, not run out of money. Well, whenever I showed up at my mom's house, I was coming back from Birmingham one night, and I picked up a couple ounces of dope or something, and I will never forget. This is when I knew I needed to go somewhere and like lay down, because like my hands seized up around my steering wheel. I couldn't get my hands off my steering wheel in the truck. And whenever I pulled back up at the river where I was staying at, like I had to blow the horn with my head. I won't never forget it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like some Dumb and Dumber movie or something. Like seriously, like I'm blowing the horn with my head. They come out and they're like, "The hell are you doing? Quit blowing the horn." I'm like, "Help me." You know what I mean? Help me, please. Like, and they're like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I can't move my hands." So at this point, I'm like 130 pounds. You know what I mean? Look absolutely ridiculous. Like just lost all my weight. And so I walk in and they're like, "Man, you don't need to be doing no more dope." I'm like, "You're not going to tell me not to do dope. You know what I mean? This is my dope. You know what I mean? Y'all want to do my dope. I'm going to do my dope." But they was trying to feed me sandwiches and shit. And I was just like, "Just get away from me." And I knew I couldn't lay down there because if I crashed, and I was just scared I'd lose my dope or lose somebody steal my money. You know what I mean? So like, I was like, "Man, I'm going home." First time in forever. I won't never forget it. I went to my mom's house and it was late, man. It's like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I pull up and I'm knock on her door and wake her up. She comes out there. I wonder if she looked through the thing at first and she's like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "It's your son. Open the door, And she's like, "That ain't you." And I will never forget it. I was wearing a black leather jacket with like a Playboy toboggan. Still remember to this day. And like my face is so shrunk in, like she couldn't believe it was me. You know what I mean? Didn't look nothing like myself. So she opened the door and she was just like in awe, just like, "Oh my God." Any other time she'd be like, "Get the hell out right now." You know what I mean? But like this time, I think she really knew like he needs help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's gonna die or something. So she let me lay down in the bed, man. I slept, and I remember waking up like the next morning. She had this big old plate of food cooked and brought it to me. And like I said, I don't think I ate for 6 months. You know what I mean? So like, I took one bite of food and I'm full. She's like, "You got to eat more." And I'm like, "Look, I can't. I'm good, thank you. Just please leave me alone." So she leaves me alone. I sleep for like 3 or 4 days straight. Like, don't get out the bed, and completely crash. And the next time I woke up, she was handing me a phone, and it was my dad and my uncle and her. It was like 3-way from hell. You know what I mean?
The worst intervention.
Like, look, I've not got time for this shit right now. So I'm just. My dad said, "Son, you got 2 choices. You can go to jail, you can go to rehab." I'm like, I'm grown. First of all, you can't put me in jail for no reason. You know what I mean? So I hope, do you remember this?
A lot of that time when you were in and out a lot, I disassociated a lot of that time.
Yeah.
It was very painful for me to watch. And I have to say that a lot of that, I mean, I know I was there, and I do remember you coming in and out. I do remember, you and Mama fighting and things like that. But I mean, a lot of those memories, I mean, I think that that's really when I was able to kind of shut everything that was painful for me out. And I mean, I did that.
Yeah.
Because it was hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it was. Hey, about that, I want to say this. Earlier I said about my stepdad and everything, but I would like to throw this in there. Like Richie, man, after he got his shit together and disappeared, you know what I mean? Like he come back and dude was the best dad ever to my little brother. So like that was real.
Well, you
cool.
didn't say anything about how you just said it was a little bit crazy. So you didn't say anything that kind of.
Yeah. Well, me and him just had yeah. Well, I'm just throwing that out there. Like seeing him, you know what I mean? I know that I can do it too. You know what I mean? Because he was right there. So, and I love him to death to this day. Like he's always been, since he come back, me and him he apologized to me and told me he was wrong. And I remember like trying to take up. I was like, "It's all right." He's like, "No, it fucking ain't all right." You know what I mean? Like, I did a lot of bad shit. So, and I was like, okay. And, but anyway, so, moving past that, I was at the house. I'm on the 3-way from hell, and They're like, you can go to jail or you can go, you know, to rehab. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing either one of them. So I pass back out. And whenever I go to sleep, the next thing I wake up to is hell for real, because there's 3 police officers or 2 or 3 police officers in my room. And I hear a radio. And I'm like, what the hell? And so I wake up and they would ask me why I was sleeping so long. And I was like, well, is it illegal to sleep? You know what I mean? Like, damn, I'm just trying to sleep, man. Can you just get out of my room? Just let me go back to where I was at. And they was like, no. They was like, get up out the bed. And I was like, man, here we go, you know. But I'm thinking, I thought I covered everything before I went to sleep, because I knew to hide my keys. I knew not to let nobody in my truck. I knew not to bring no shit in mama's house for sure. So I didn't have anything in there. So I thought I was good. Well, whenever they got me up and they searched me, and then they searched my truck. Well, whenever they searched my truck, they looked for like, you know, 30 minutes and didn't find anything. I'm like, these dummies ain't gonna find it. You know what I mean? It's hanging from the rearview mirror. They're not gonna find it. But yeah. But eventually they found it. And whenever they poured it all out, it was just, you know, it was some money, and it was a bunch of bags, like, and it was a meth pipe. And my mom started crying, saying, my son's smoking crack. I'm like, that ain't crack. I don't smoke crack. You know what I mean? But yeah. So they took me to jail. Well, they took me to jail. I was in jail. Nobody knew I was in jail. I didn't know nobody's numbers. That's the reason I remember every number by heart now, because of this. I'm in jail, and I don't have no way to get in touch with anybody that I know that will come get me. You know what I mean? Because the people that knows I'm in jail, damn sure ain't coming to get me. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm in the cell with this older dude that's getting ready to go to the Fed. And the task force wanted me to work with them, you know what I mean? And I told them no. And so they was like, well, all right, you send your dumb ass to the back. And I'm like, whatever. So I go back to jail, and I'm like, this is jail. This ain't so bad. You know what I mean? This ain't nothing. This ain't nothing like juvenile, you know? So I'm in there for a couple weeks, and then it was right before Christmas, and I wanted out. I wanted to get out so bad. So my dude told me, he was like, man, just go tell the task force that you'll work with them. They'll let you out. I'm like, no, it ain't that easy. You know what I mean? He said, yes, it is. And I was like, well, whatever. So I go over there and hit the button. I won't never forget this shit. I hit the button on the side of the jail in the pod, you know what I mean? And the dude comes over and I cover it. And I say, hey, I need to talk to the task force. And then I took my hand off. He said, you need to talk to the task force. Everybody looks at me. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna get killed now. I gotta get out of here, you know. But hey, so I'm doing this, and it's so crazy. They asked me, you know, they was like, well, were you willing to work for it? I'm like, yeah, man, just let me out. You know what I mean? Let me get in touch with my dude in Atlanta, and I'll be back in touch with you by New Year's, I promise. They was like, all right, they let me out. So I go straight back down to the river and tell everybody, my dude, I just got out of jail. Been in jail for 2 weeks. Like, where you been? I'm been in jail for 2 weeks, man. And I'm getting high, you know, immediately right now. And I tell them what I'm doing. I was like, I told the task force I'd work for them. And they was looked at me crazy. I'm like, man, I'm not going to do it, man. Like, but I told them that, you know what I mean? And so here comes New Year's Eve, you know, and I get this is back when Nextels, you know, remember the Nextels that click?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, well, I got the Nextel phone, and I'm at the river, and we just got back from like Birmingham or somewhere. We got a pile of dope. We're sitting there, and the task force calls me. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, they was like, well, today's your day, bud. You're supposed to get back to it. I was like, yeah, I've been thinking about that, and I ain't gonna be able to do it, man. And I said, if you want to find the dope, find me. And I just hung up. Well, that didn't work out too good. So like 2 weeks later, they found me, you know, and they beat me up pretty good and took me to jail. And I sit in jail for 6 months with no bond this time at all. It wasn't an question. Like, it ain't working with the task force no more. They ain't talking to you, you know. So now I'm just in there and do all my charges, whatever. It was just some misdemeanor stuff. So I didn't do long. I didn't do but like 6, 7, 8 months, maybe. And I got out, went right back to the exact same thing I was doing. Immediately got jammed up a few more times, did a few more 6 months, 8 months before I ended up getting done with all that. I ended up doing like 2.5, almost 3 years in just a county jail in Clanton. You know what I mean? Like on and off 6-8 months at a time. It's crazy. So ended up moving to Wetumpka with one of the guys because my mom told me, I went by her job and she was like, look, the task force got in touch with me and they told me to tell you, if you keep doing what you're doing here, they're going to put you in prison. You know what I mean? So I kind of got a heads up. So I was like, well, all right, I'll move to Wetumpka, which is the very next county. You know what I mean? Just like right over the county lines where we moved. And that didn't work. You know, at this point, I'm cooking meth. And that's all I was doing. Like just life resolved around shaking a bottle and getting high every day. Like that was the goal when you woke, you know, if you woke up, you know, you was trying to get a box so you could go cook some dope and get high, you know, and that's what I was doing. And we ended up getting raided over there. The FBI raided us because a girl got busted with a bunch of counterfeit money, and she told them right where we was at. So they come in and raided us, and we went to jail, and I got a manufacturing charge. This is the first time I was looking at real prison time.
Mm-hmm.
Real prison.
I do remember this.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was 2010, and so I'm looking at, you know, I'm 5-year sentence for manufacturing. I do like a year in Wetumpka, which was one of the other worstest times. Like Wetumpka is no joke. Like that was some of the worst time I've ever done too. That's one of the top 3 for sure. So it was just very violent. You know what I mean? Like violent. And so I'm in there. I do a year, and I won't ever forget Mom and Granny. After a year, they come and saw me, and they was like, I've been begging to get out for a year, and nobody would help me. Nobody was getting me out. But after almost a year, Granny and Mama come and saw me, and they was like, we're getting you out today. And I was like, just what? So happy. You know what I mean? So I got out. And this point is whenever I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do something different. You know what I mean? Maybe. So I got out, and I went to work for my dad. And, you know what I mean? I was working for my dad out of town, and saved a little. Well, I didn't really save no money. I ain't never saved no money. But I got out, and I paid a lawyer. The lawyer saved me from going to prison. So she was like, I can get you time served. You just have to do this probation. And I was like, I can do that. So I'm working out of town. I pay her. I go to court. And at this point, we're working up around West Virginia. And this is whenever I meet my ex-wife. Whew, this is a whole different stuff. You know what I mean? But so I'm in West Virginia now, and I'm working in Morgantown. Well, I'm living in Morgantown, which is like where the college is at. Like it's party central all the time. It was awesome, and I was clean, and we were just working. You know what I mean? I might do some Subutex or might do a little cocaine every once in a while, but for the most part, I was clean. You know what I mean? And just drinking, and that went pretty good. You know what I mean? It was all right. And that's when I met Janine, my ex-wife, and she was walking out of a bar, and I was tripping on acid one night, and she saw me staring at this poster, and she was like, he's tripping. And I was like, what's up? And, yeah, so we started talking. She said, come back tomorrow is my birthday. I said, okay. And for some reason, I went back the next day. And then we never left each other's side for like, years. But so that's whenever I was in West Virginia. Well, during this process, you saw some of the pictures on Facebook, I'm sure, whenever I was injured really bad. Like I looked like I got blowed up in a meth lab. Well, I got blowed up in a meth lab.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah. So Hope disappeared on her.
I'm back.
And she'll be back.
I'm listening.
So I come home. I'm clean, like I said. I didn't have anything in my system. And I come home, and this chick hit me up on the ride home. It was like a 14-hour ride from work. And she was like, look, I got everything here to make some meth. Will you come by? I'll give you $100. So just to be honest, I was thinking I could make some $100, get high and get laid. Perfect situation. So I went by there, and I rushed to cook, and it ended up blowing up on me. And it messed me up, man. I had a skin graft on my whole right arm. And
tell about that night, though. What happened when you went to Mama's house?
Yeah, like this is okay. You're about to see some of the crazy relationship stuff, okay? Because the night that it happened, it was so bad. Like, you don't understand, like I'm dying here. Like my arms blowed off. And I go to my mom's house because it's, you know what I mean? Hell, it was mom's house. You know, it's where you're supposed to be able to go to get some fucking help. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I go to my mom's house, and whenever I get there, I go in there and wake her up. I'm like, look, I'm hurt. I'm really hurt, like bad. And one of the girls that she works with was actually it was actually a girl that she works with that I went by her house and did this. Yeah. And so the girl that she works with is dropping me off. She's out there and she's like, my mom tells me to get out of her room. You know what I mean? She's just like, get away from me. I'm sleeping. Just leave me alone. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, I'm hurt, like bad. She's like, just get away. You know, basically just shooting me off. And so I go in the bathroom. I turn on the ice water. And I remember I just kept my arm in the ice water and it didn't hurt. But as soon as I pull it out, like it was like you had a torch to it. So like I knew I was in a state like I needed to go to the hospital. So like I called a girl back, she come back and picked me up, and I go to this other girl that works for my mom. She's a nurse, and she looks at me and she says, "Oh my God, like go to the hospital right now." And so we go to the hospital, and as soon as I get there, they hit me with they get me in a helicopter and they fly me to Birmingham. Like it was that serious, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was real bad. So
Yeah.
I'm in the hospital for like 2 to 3 weeks from it. So once my mom realized like how serious it was, she come up there and she was like crying, like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like,
She stayed with you while you were in the
yeah,
hospital.
that's what I'm saying. Once she figured out, you know what I mean? But yeah, but she come up there and stayed with me. I remember this one. You remember the night I'm talking about right now? Oh my God.
Yes.
At the hospital.
So while you were at the hospital, what were you trying to do? Why were you when you're at the hospital, what were you trying to do?
All right. So when I was at the yeah. Well, when I was at the hospital, I was in so much pain and everything. So I called this other chick I know that sells cocaine. You know what I mean? And I said, hey, can you bring me something up here? Like I'm dying. She was like, yeah, I heard you got hurt. I'm gonna come see you. So she brings me like a quarter ounce of Coke, of some of the best Coke in the world, to the hospital. I won't ever forget. I go in the bathroom, I get high, and my sister and my cousin are there. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, look at this cocaine I got, like in the hospital. But they're checking my blood, my pressure and everything, and it's out the roof. They're like, he's about to have a heart attack. I'm like, I'm good. Chill out.
It's like, no, you're not good.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like it was just always something, you know what I mean? But so I heal up from that. I go back to West Virginia and work. And me and Janine ended up really getting really serious after that. She got pregnant. Well, she wasn't pregnant at the time, actually. She come to Alabama. Well, yes, she was. She got pregnant. No, when she come to Alabama, she wasn't pregnant. She come to Alabama, she got pregnant. And, you know, we was about to have my little girl. And it was just, look, I've never been good at relationships. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I never really saw it growing up, like the way it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Besides, like, Granny and Papa. You know what I mean? Which, I mean, I saw a lot of that. I was there a lot. But, like, at home, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, I never knew how to treat a woman. You know what I mean? Like, just being ignorant, you know? And so I was real, like, probably just the worst spouse ever, really, you know, to be the truth. So put her through just all kind of stuff. She was a really good girl. And I put her just through all kind of hell, you know? And after all that, she just got sick of it. I was working out of town in Mississippi at the time. And I come home and she's not there. You know what I mean? She left. Our house is empty. It sucked. You know what I mean? It was like a slap in the face because she's pregnant with my kid. And I'm like, man, that's the one thing I always want to do is be a dad, you know? So she went back to West Virginia. I did my own thing. And that's when I kind of fell off after this. You know what I mean? Like I got pretty bad again. I quit working, just running around selling dope, just running the streets. And right before my little girl was born, I moved to West Virginia like a month before. And I was just in a bad way. Like my truck just got stolen. And like I call it Greyhound up there, and I won't ever forget. She picked me up in
Remember, I dropped it
Pittsburgh.
off at the bus station.
Yeah, like she picked me up in Pittsburgh, and like I'm just not in a good shape. You know what I mean? Like just so when I get to West Virginia, I sober up. You know what I mean? My little girl's coming. Like this is what I've been waiting for. So I sober up. I don't know. I was in her life. I worked. Like this is probably one of the best periods of my life. You know what I mean? As far as really anything. My life was good for a few years. You know what I mean? So like I worked, took care of the kids. Like me and her, we still fought and everything, like anybody, you know. But like it was good for a while. Like we was going to church all the time. Like we was making it work. You know what I mean? We was just figuring it out, like as a young couple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then she gets pregnant with my little boy, like immediately after. Like I'm holding Alina. I will never forget it. And she comes down the stairs crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, the baby's a few weeks old. Like how? You know what I mean? So like they're 11 months apart. Like that's it. Like they're not even a year apart. They're right there together, like Irish twins or whatever. So we have little man, and well, we have Tiger Man. That's what I call my son. But so whenever we have him, I'm still working on the pipeline. I'm making decent money. Like we got a nice little house. We got a couple vehicles. Like, you know what I mean? We're doing
But there's one thing still going on. You're still getting high.
Not that much during this time.
But you still were.
No, yeah, I was doing Suboxone or Subutex pills at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was drinking every once in a while. Like, but I'm saying, as far as my sobriety, this is like the cleanest I've ever been. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like, yeah. But like, I'm going to work every day. For that to happen, like, I'm doing all right. You know what I mean? So we're making it work. You know, and then I get laid off or something, and then I met her dad, and he come out here from California, and I won't ever forget it, man. She told me a little bit about it. Look, Janine hated meth. Like she was 100% against meth. Like never done it, never wanted to see it, never, you know what I mean? Like just hated it, like for real, like was completely against it. Have it in the house, I'm sleeping outside. You know what I mean? Like it ain't happening. So like it didn't go on for a few years, like for real, like I was clean, like you know what I mean? Besides just maybe once or twice a month getting high, like I was doing right, you know. And so whenever he come out here, they ended up leaving to go see some friends in Ohio. So, but whenever he first got out here, I knew about his past. So something just was on me. I don't know, man. We got in a truck, went to the Harley dealership. Well, like the bike shop. He's a biker, and went to the bike shop to get a tire on his bike because he took his motorcycle out here in the back of his truck. He drove across country, and he come and saw us, and to meet the kids and everything. Well, whenever we got in the truck, I was just like, yeah, man, I heard you like that meth. He was like, well, yeah, I've done it. And I was like, well, you ain't got nothing on you, do you? And I will never forget his words. He's like, man, Janine will kill me. And I'm like, Janine ain't got to know. You know what I mean? And he was like, so we go by his hotel room and we get high real quick. So this is the first time I've been high like off meth in a few years. So I thought I could hide it from her. I don't know what I was thinking. You know what I mean? So I go home. I'm like out in a flower bed, planting a flower bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Like,
what made you ask? Did you just ask him because you knew of the history, or?
I've asked myself that so many questions, so many times. Like I got around him. He had a really good energy about him. Like I liked him. You know what I mean? And I felt like I could just talk to him. You know what I mean? And I was like, fuck it. I mean, excuse my language, but you know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm gonna shoot my shot. I might give a hot with my father-in-law. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. So I didn't think it was going to escalate to what it did, but I did get high. And she ended up knowing I was high. She was so mad. She was mad at me and him. You know what I mean? Well, whenever he left to go see some friends in Ohio, they left a big bag on top of my refrigerator, like an ounce or something. And he called me. He was like, dude, get this out the house. We left it there on accident. And I'm like, oh, my God. So I'll go get it. Now I got all this dope. You know what I mean? So now it ain't just like a relapse. Like now I'm almost back in full addiction immediately, So I'm getting high every day. and I'm back selling dope immediately. You know what I mean? And now the difference is it's not just me. You know, now I've got my kids in the house. Like I've got, you know, a woman I'm supposed to be providing for. You know what I mean? And like now I'm running the streets at all hours. You know, trying to when I can get away with it. You know what I mean? But and it ain't like it was. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still messing with women. You know what I mean? Not supposed to be doing that at me. You know, of course. So I'm just right back to the old bullshit that I've always done. Except now it's affecting everybody around. You know what I mean? Like now everybody's getting my bullshit thrown on. You know, and it's not fair. It's not fair at all. And she put up with a lot. You know what I mean? She really did. She put up with a whole lot. Well, then one day she was like, I want to try it. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. You know what I mean? I know what this does, you know? And I tried, man. I told her no, you know? She just kept on, I want to try it. And I'm like, eventually I just let her try it. You know what I mean? And at first, like, it was crazy. We laughed about it just when I was in prison, when we was recently talking not too long ago. Now we're not, but she was like, at first, it was like the meth was going to fix our marriage. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy because we're talking, like, we're hanging out, like, you know what I mean? We're actually doing stuff together that we ain't done in a long time. You know what I mean? It was weird, real weird. Yeah, it's crazy. It's the way to look at it. You know what I mean? But like, it was serious. Like, we was hanging out all the time. Like, we did everything together after that. Like, we were just two tweakers with two babies. You know what I mean? Like, just running around. But so we, you know, quit going to church, quit doing all that. And, you know, eventually, you know, you just start noticing the people that's around you now. It's just not like the people that was around you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your crowd and your friends and, you know, your call list on your phone is just nothing like it used to be. You know, now it's just all this toxic shit, you know. And so we do that, you know, and for, you know, a year or so. We was together like 8 years, so all that happened. We ended up splitting up eventually, you know. Like I just pushed her over the edge, you know what I mean? I take full responsibility for that relationship. That's one that I know that it was on me, you know what I mean? And so after that is whenever I end up getting in trouble in West Virginia. Because during this time, when we're together, I caught 4 control buys. You know, somebody wore a wire on me 4 different times. And once we split up, like I'm just kind of, you know what I mean, bouncing around from female to female, just whatever apartment I'm staying in at the night, you know, and I end up getting hit with a trafficking. Well, she got a restraining order on me after everything, because and honestly, and all about, it's like at that point she needed it. You know what I mean? Like I was just so far gone. You know what I mean? Like it was a type like you're gonna be with me or nobody else. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where I was at. Like, and you know, that don't ever work. So whenever I just really realized it, like, I mean, like seriously, I was at the point like I had a pistol, like I was like, it was bad. Like it got really bad. Some of the thoughts that you have, you know what I mean? You just know now looking back, you're like, wow, that's where you was really at. Like, and you was really there because you know you was really there. You know what I mean? Like it ain't no trying to downplay it. Like you was seriously this far, you know? And from taking your own life, you know, from taking her life, and like, it's just a scary thing. You know what I mean? It really is, you know, because a lot of people don't get the chance to look back at it. You know what I mean? They do it, you know, and then they're gone. You know, and they took their loved one away and took another mother away or father away. And so it was some like, now it's just like gut wrenching. You know what I mean? Like, wow, like you really can understand how far you was. So during this point, my mom had the kids. And when she had the kids, I was in the process. This is crazy. Like I was in the process of rounding up everybody's money that owed me, like because I would just front out a bunch of stuff. So I was in the process of rounding up everybody's money that owed me, and I was fixing to move back to Alabama. Literally, I remember talking to my mom and her telling me, "Just I got the kids. Come down here and get clean." You know what I mean? I remember it. So I was like, "That's what I'm gonna do." So I'm getting all the money, getting everybody rounded up that owes me. And I called Janine and I messed up. I told her my plan. You know what I mean? I said, look, mom's got the kids. I'm getting all this money and I'm going to Alabama. You know what I mean? I'm getting out of here. I'm going to get my life back. I'm going to be in my kids' life. I'm going to do what I got to do. Well, Janine was in active addiction too at this time, real bad. You know what I mean? So she's like, no, you're not. You know what I mean? So she tricks me because she knows that I care for her. And she called me and asked me where I was at. And I was like, I told her where I was at. Well, I was waiting on some people to get back from Pittsburgh so I could buy their script of Subutex because I wanted them Subutex to go back to Alabama because I knew I was going to detox off of heroin and fentanyl. You know what I mean? So that's really like the last thing I was waiting on was them to get back, and I was going to get that, and I was gone. Well, she asked me where I was at. I told her where I was at, and she told me, she said, well, walk outside. I'll be there in a minute. And I walked there. There was a lot of stairs going up to this house. So by the time I walk all the way down to the curve, I call her back. I said, what's up? Where you at? She's like, where you at? I said, I'm outside. And she hung up. And I knew something was weird. You know what I mean? Well, I turned around and police are everywhere. Like they're surrounding me. So they're falling out the sky. You know what I mean? I'm like, where are they coming from? There's so many of them. So they got me and beat me up a little bit that time because I tried to resist. And they went in the house illegally. They found a gun in the house. They found some dope in the house, like a lot of dope in the house. And so they tried to charge me with all that, but that wasn't my house. You know what I mean? To this day, I don't know whose shit that was. You know what I mean? I'm locked up on this violation of restraining order. I'm thinking, well, this ain't gonna be too serious. You know, I can get out. Well, when I get down to the spot or whatever, the jail, they hit me. Well, we got you on 4 control buys. We got you on this trafficking, and now, you know, we got you on all this stuff. Like, you're looking at life in prison. And I'm like, what? It was just a slap in the face, you know? So what I do the same thing I did in Alabama. You know what I mean? So they was like, can you help us out? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? I could do anything for you guys. Let me go today and we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? They let me go. They tried to give me this phone to contact them. And I tried to scare Janine with that. I was like, look, man, you know, the police gave me this phone. You can't do this to me no more. You know what I mean? But in the end, the police, they tried to, you know, reach out to me, and they finally figured out I was playing them. You know what I mean? I wasn't on doing it. So they ended up arresting me before I could get out of town again, because now I just lost all my money going to jail. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a chaotic situation again. Like, now when I get out, this time, whenever they lock me up, though, now I'm in there. I'm stuck. I'm not getting out. You know what I mean? My dad and them's like, I'm not bailing you out. You know what I mean? Nobody's helping me this time at all, period. I'm on my own. And I'm looking at like 10 to life, you know, and I'm just like, so I go to court. I take the charge. I end up pleading out to a delivery of controlled substance, heroin, because it carried the most time. I ended up getting like a 15-year sentence off of it. So I've been, you know, just fighting that sentence. It was 2017. I'm still on parole for it. Like, I haven't caught nothing new in West Virginia since then. So I go to jail. I do like a year and a half. I get out. I go to the Oxford House, and whenever I'm there, I make it not long at all. But I'm seeing my kids right now, so it's cool. So they're back in my life because Janine got the kids back. So now I'm in their life. I'm seeing them, and I'm trying to make stuff work with their mom. And she gave me a chance, you know what I mean? She really did. She gave me a chance. And what I do, you know, I mess it all up again. You know what I mean? So I messed that up again with her. I'm on parole at this time, and I violate parole again. So now I go back and do 4.5, 5 years this time. So like 4 years. And they sent me to Huttonsville this time. And it's not your ideal environment. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks. So that's what, you know. But so that's where I was at for 4 years. And it's like, it's one of the worst in the state. You know what I mean? For West Virginia. But I'm on the active gang units. and I make a terrible decision at the time, and you know, I get affiliated with a gang, and I really I could have did a year, you know what I mean, on a violation, and I do 4 because it's just I can't get out once I get in there. You know what I mean? You got to do what you got to do. So I got AdSeg. My sister knows. She knows whenever I don't call her, I'm like, I'm in the hole. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it ain't just like 30 days. Like I've done 6 months, 8 months, like in the hole by yourself, sitting in a cell, you know, where you can't talk to nobody. Like if you don't know how to sign, you don't know how to talk to nobody because you can't hear nobody. So unless you're in an event talking to somebody that's upstairs or something. So
How do you think
that
that
really
affects your mental health? How do you
a lot.
survive? How do you survive when you're in the hole and you're doing time like that alone by yourself? Like
Look,
how
this is
does
when,
that affect you?
yeah, well, this is when you really figure out who you are. You know what I mean? Like this is whenever you really figure out who you are, if you're how strong you are. You know what I mean? Because like it gets challenging. You know what I mean? Like it really does. It gets challenging. You just there's no way to describe it. You know what I mean? Like besides hell on earth, like for real. It's hell on earth. Like it really is. Like you're stuck in there, and you know all you can think. You don't have no books. You know what I mean? Unless you got a religious preference and you got that book. Well, sometimes they let you get books now at Huntsville, but depends on if the magistrate gives you books privileges or not. You know what I mean? So 6 months I have no book. Well, 60 days I didn't have book privileges. Then they gave it to me after the 60 days. But so you're just stuck in there, you know what I mean? Replaying your life, replaying all those things that you've been through. And like, man, if I could have just went left when I went right, you know what I mean? Like I could have made so many better choices. Or, you know what I mean? Just my life would have just turned out so different. And just looking back on it, like I just evaluated myself. Said I just did 6 months in the hole right before I got out this time. My sister knows. So like the last 6, I knew I was getting ready.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I do want you to kind of share a little bit, kind of the spiritual warfare that you've experienced while you've been in the hole, and because you've written me some of those experiences, and if you want to, you don't have to if you don't want to, and kind of
You talking
like
about tell why I was in the hole?
no, like that warfare, that spiritual warfare, those experiences that you had where you would write about and tell me about. Do you want to share those?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'll be. This is crazy. So this last time that I went to Huntsville, I got hit in the face with a 5-pound weight. You can't really see it now. They did a good job. I had 26 staples in my head and 9 stitches in my eye, and that happened when I was asleep, dude. You know, hit me with a 5-pound weight like 4 or 5 times. So during that, they had to take me to the hospital. Like, you know what I mean? Well, that was crazy. You know, I've always heard about people with PTSD and stuff. Look, I've been in shootings. I've been stabbed at. I've been in some really sketchy situations. You know what I mean? Like not trying to glorify it in no manner. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah, you're just telling the facts.
Yeah, telling the facts how it is. Like, you know, when you got a gun staring at your face, and the only chance you know this dude's fixing to shoot you, and you just take off, and he shoots 3 or 4 times, and you can hear the bullets going by you. Like that's real. You know what I mean? Like, and that's happened 3 different times. You know what I mean? Like, and like I thought I killed a guy one day, like just shooting because he was shooting at me, and I shot back, and I hit the right beside his door of his car. And we saw it like 2 weeks later. It was 2 inches up from where 2 inches I'd have killed him. You know what I mean? And like 2 inches I'd be doing life in Oregon. So, like, just thinking about stuff like that, you realize how blessed you really are to have another chance. I'm out here, I'm free. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like so many of my friends that's in prison never getting out with life sentences. Like, I've been around mass murderers. Like, I've been around, like, this is just some pretty interesting characters. You know what I mean? But like, they're never coming home. Never. Like, theirs is death. Like, you know what I mean? Till you die. You know?
Yeah.
So like, that's deep. You know what I mean? When you're sitting there talking to a man that knows that he's never going to see the street again.
Never going to see. Yeah.
Like that. that's hard, especially whenever, and they, most of them want you to make it. They're like, man, just get out and do right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just get out and make us proud. You know what I mean? Like, have something.
Yeah.
Do that for me because I can. You know what I mean? And so it's really deep. But so when I got assaulted, it was just really weird. I went to the hole afterwards, like 2 days, 3 days afterwards. I went to the hole, and
Why
and
did
then
they
after
put you in the hole when you got assaulted?
Well, because I overdosed at prison.
There we go.
So yeah, I overdosed at prison, and at St. Mary's. So I was dead. This is the crazy. I've overdosed 17 times. So you got to have some type of something looking out for you. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely something else after this because I've
You've
never seen it. I wish I could.
17 times?
Yeah, 17 times. Like I wish I could say I saw the light, but I never saw no light. But I did, like 5 of them I had to be hospitalized, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
5 different times, like I wake up in the ambulance, like was dead. You know what I mean? And the other times my buddies just brought me back, or the chick, whoever I was with brought me back with Norcan, you know what I mean? So but this last time I overdosed in prison, I about got killed, and then I went to the hole. Or vice versa. I overdosed first, and then assault happened. But then I went to the hole. So I'm in the hole, and it was so weird, man. I was having, like, every time I would go to sleep, like I would wake up because the dude woke me up, beat me in the face with a weight. So I would wake up like just ready to fight, like trying to protect myself. And it was crazy. And I mean, it happened for weeks, like for real. Like I was like, damn, am I gonna be like this forever? Because like it was real intense. It was real intense. Like, and I never had no PTSD off of anything I've ever been through. So this was the first time. So having that experience, like I realized, like when people say, "Oh, I got bad PTSD," I'm like, man, I had it, but I don't have it anymore. It didn't last but like 30 days. You know what I mean? But I eventually do. Just like I'm real big into the universe. Like I know I was raised up Christian and everything, but like that just that's just not what works for me. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm not knocking nobody's religion. I've just done a lot of history of the Bible and I've studied it, and it contradicts itself too much for me. So it just don't work for me. But I do have something that I lean on, and it works. So that's what I'm doing. Until it don't work, that's what I'm doing. And so when I'm in there, I just basically pray. You know what I mean? And just for it to just go away. And eventually it goes away.
Who are
you
you
know what I mean?
praying to though? You said you pray. What are you praying to?
Like just like the universe. You know what I mean? There is a God for sure. There is a creator. You know what I mean? And like I'm like just reaching out to anything above and more powerful than me. You know what I'm saying? And it worked. Yeah, and it worked. So eventually it went away. But like I said, the whole time I've got probably at least 3 years in the hole. You know what I mean? Like all together.
Yeah.
And like that's a lot of sitting on your hands and just evaluating yourself. You know what I mean? So I think it was honestly one of the best things that could have happened to me this last time because I was getting ready to go home. I made parole in January. I was supposed to get out in January. I didn't get out until last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kept running into trouble trying to go to Oregon because I got a 1.5-year-old out there with my ex, and me and her was trying to make it work the whole time I was locked up. She was there. You know what I mean? She did as best as she could, I guess. You know what I mean? And she relapsed a few times. She's clean now, but when I went to the hole this last time, see, the first time I knew that things was weird with us. Whenever the first time I did 60 days, I get a letter every day. You know what I mean? The second time I don't get no letters. The third time I don't get no letters. So you can see the person's gradually falling back, or you just something ain't right with it. But I tried to support her the best I could, but like I've said, I've always been toxic to women. You know what I mean? So like I didn't treat her the way she should be treated either. You know what I mean? And I got a lot of mistakes with her also, but she gave me a lot of reason, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we're still friends, you know, we talk, and I see my little boy every night. I video him and he's daddy. Like, he knows exactly who I am, you know?
Yeah.
And I do that for at least 30 minutes, you know? And, but when I was in the hole this last time, like all I did is I put pictures of my kids up, and I have pictures of all of them up there. And I wrote out like a to-do list, you know what I mean? And goals in my life. And I put them on my wall, and every day I would sleep till, you know, as late as I could in the afternoon. And then I would stay up at night reading, and I would work out and I would read my goals, you know what I mean? Like every day, just meditate on them goals. Like, you got to do this. And like, I've checked off like my 30-day, I've already checked off like 90% of it. I ain't been out but a week, you know what I mean? But so I'm on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just gave me a lot of time to reflect and see, like, I'm not getting no younger, you know what I mean? Like, I'm 38 now, don't have nothing, you know, just done started over so many times. Like, you know, just in Oregon before I got locked up, like I thought I had the world, you know, I had a nice house, had a really nice BMW, like had a bike, like, but I was so strung out and like selling dope and just running amok. And I knew I had warrants on me. I knew I was starting over, you know what I mean? Like, as soon as they catch me, I'm gone. So it sucks, man. Like, getting out at this age, knowing that you just gave everything away so many times, and now I'm just at the point of like I refuse to do it again. You know what I mean? Like, this is my last time. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to be successful this time and stay successful. You know, it's just addictions. It's serious. You know, like it's one of the hardest things you'll ever overcome. But if you can overcome it, you know, for a certain period of time, I think you can do it. You know, but you just gotta stay focused.
Yeah.
Like, when it gets hard, like, because it's been hard a few days this week already, and I'm just like, whew, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I just put myself with somebody I know that's gonna speak to. I call my brother every single night, man. My little brother Dustin, he's supported me, man. He's been like the best friend anybody could ask for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We talk every day, in prison every day, every night on video chat for like, sometimes he won't let me get off there. You know what I mean? We'll just talk for like an hour. I'm like, man, you work 12 hours a day. How are you doing this? You know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, he always makes time for me, you know, and that's real cool. And he told me anything I need, he's got me, you know. But it's just a lot of people don't have that, you know what I mean? So it's I'm real grateful for that, for sure. Just so grateful for that
Yeah.
alone. But
Yeah. And I think some support is a major thing that we all need, whether we're dealing with addictions or not, you know. Like,
yeah,
to have support is major. And even when we've, you know, messed up, to still have people that are in our corner is amazing, that want
yeah,
to see us do well, that want to see us win. So yeah, like I tell people all the time to take full advantage, you know, of the people that are saying, hey, like, when I give my information to somebody and I say, hey, call me, like, if whatever, like, call me before you
Yeah.
do, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because it's going to be better. Because I mean, you're not going to freak me out just because you're having a thought, you know,
yeah.
but
Well,
maybe
see,
we can get through the thought.
yeah. Well, I was talking to my sister this morning. One of the guys I'm staying with, is staying over there where I'm staying. He's real close to his sister, and she's like, she don't have a drug problem. She's clean, you know what I mean? She actually had her life together, and we was on the gang unit in Huntsville together and everything. Well, she wanted to see him because he's been doing good for a couple months. And last night she was coming to see him, and she got hit by an 18-wheeler and she passed away. And
Oh no.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
You know, this morning he come and woke me up. He was like, bro, what are you doing today? And I'm like,
Yeah.
nothing, man. What's up? And he was like, he told me. I was like, shh. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, it ain't hit me yet. You know what I mean? He was like, but she was
Yeah.
coming to see me, man, because she wanted to say, he said, I told her no. And he was like, she did it anyway. But he asked me, I told him after I get done with this, I'm going to go hang out with him. You know what I mean? Because he just wants to, he said, I'll pay for the lunch, whatever, man. Just come hang out with me, man. And he's like, I want somebody around me that, you know what I mean? Just got their head on right now. So, and that was cool that he even thought about me. You know what I mean? Because he just sees the way I'm moving, and he sees like he's heard me talk about what I want to accomplish here lately. it meant a lot to me that he come with me, but I just feel so sorry for him. Like, if you can make it through something like that and stay sober, you can make it
Yeah.
through anything. You know what I
Through
mean? Like,
anything.
absolutely
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. And it all starts with the way that, the way that we are thinking,
Yeah.
and our, and our beliefs. So if we can know, like, okay, hey, like, even though, like, whatever thoughts he may have, he's got to understand this is not his fault, even though she
Yeah.
was coming to see him, and that, he asked her not to, but she just wanted to see her brother. Yeah, but
Yeah.
this is, the thing that has happened is not his fault, and that no amount of substance is going to heal that.
Yeah.
It will just make it worse, but it's not going to heal it. So
Yeah.
to be able to pass through the feelings, we got to feel in order to heal, and that's a true thing. It's
Absolutely.
painful a lot. A lot of life can be painful, but if we can just process and move through it, then we can get on the other side of it. No matter how many times we have to do that, because as long as we're living, there's going to be opportunity for upset. you
Mm-hmm.
know
Yes.
there's opportunity for good and there's opportunity for upset, but we got to know how to handle it all.
Yeah.
And with having support in somebody to say, hey, you're not alone in this, and say whatever you need to say. Like, you don't have to be afraid to express yourself for real. you know
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
and get it, get out what you need to get out, but handling it apart from a substance, because a substance is not going to do anything but in the long run kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it has waiting in the wind, is either I'm gonna be locked up
Yeah.
or I'm gonna be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And
There's
so,
no other
yeah,
choice.
there's no other option.
Yeah.
Those are the options. So it's
Yeah,
like,
like
no,
I know people that's used for 20 years that don't get in no trouble. I'm like, I'm not that guy. Like, I got 30 days
yeah,
in me. I mean, I'm in something.
yeah. And it's to not to because we do the things that we do because we're looking to escape, because things are painful. Life
Yeah.
has been painful and we want to escape it, but it's like, escape is not the answer. Let me deal with the factors of my life so that they don't stop, so they can stop chasing me, because that's what's
Yeah.
happening. I'm being chased and I get tired, but the thing that's chasing me does not ever get tired.
Yeah. Don't never go away.
Like, until I deal with it. And once I deal with it, once I stop and face it head on and say, look, I'm taking your power away, and I'm taking mine back. You no longer have power over me. The situation is that happened. It was what it was. I forgive. I do whatever I need to do in that vein, and I move forward. And that's the only, like, I know that to be true because that's the only way that I was able to move forward. And so many other people that I talked to, they had to stop and look at life. They had to face it. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it was painful, but that pain was temporary, but they got joy on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Like, hope is a
Yeah.
testament to that. And so many other people are testaments to that. They had to just go through the pain of the past and deal with it and admit, like, that hurt. Like,
Yeah.
life sucked at that point, or whatever the case was. Like, but you know what? What can I do now so that I don't stay in the same cycle? I don't keep repeating the same pattern, because this is getting me
Yeah.
nowhere
Absolutely.
fast, you know?
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
but I'm glad that you've had enough, and that, you're, it sounds like you're like sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you're not going, not going to go backwards, but keep going forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. I'm
just
at the point.
utilize those tools, because it's so easy. I was watching something, a TikTok or something the other day, and it was talking about the want to and the willingness. And it was like, I always wanted to. Like, nobody wants to lose everything that they love and they care about. Nobody wants to repeat patterns. So
Yeah.
it wasn't the want that it was lacking, it was the willingness to do what it was going to take to have a different life. And
Yeah.
just keeping that in your head. Of course, you want a different path, and like, and it's up to you. It's your own choices. That's what I told Dex. I was just like, whatever you normally would do, just do the complete opposite. And make this time be different, because in the past you wanted it as well, but there comes a time when you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and then that's actually when the change is made.
Absolutely.
So I'm proud of you, brother. I love you. I know that I've watched you, go through some very hard things, and at times it was very challenging for me to watch. I can't tell you how many prayers I've prayed, tears I've actually cried, just knowing some of the things that you've gone through. It's been, hurting. We hurt people that love us too, with not meaning to, but if we watch them, which I know you struggled to watch me when I was in my active addiction. So I know that you can do it though. Huh?
I said, yeah, I would drive across the country for you.
I know you would. You did. You drove across the country to save me, and I know you would do it again. And I would for you too. You're a good person. You have a good heart. And I know that this is a second chance that God has given you. And so just take hold of that. I believe in you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're gonna be all right.
Absolutely. Absolutely will. And I heard this Dex before. I was talking to one of my cousins who has had kind of similar, has been in and out of jail, prison, and he said one of the hardest things for a man to be is himself. And when he said that, I was like, yeah, I was like, and my response to him was, well, in order to be yourself, you got to know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, you can't be. So like, you were talking about how you played football since you were 5. Would you say that at that point you felt like that was who you were, was like a football player?
Yeah, it was just the one thing I was always good at. You know what I mean? I enjoyed it. Just it was one of the best times of my life was out on that field. You know what I mean? I still remember Little League, like playing in Prattville Stadium when we was kids. Like that was a big deal. It was a championship game. And I miss it so much.
Yeah. Because it sounds like that's when things took even though they were turning, it sounded like that's when it took like a complete turn. And
oh yeah, whenever I lost football and I got kicked out in my uncle's house, like for school, like that's whenever it just, I'm grown now. You know what I mean? I ain't got nothing else. I can't play ball no more. Might as well just do everything else, And like the last time I got out of prison, I went back to home. Like I didn't get to that, but I went back home to Alabama, and I paroled to my brother's house, and he was working out of town. He had a girl living with him, so I wasn't staying there. You know what I mean? I just wasn't comfortable staying there. So I stayed at my mom's. My mom was like, "Just come stay with me," and this was just like, what? Like, we can't last 72 hours without killing each other. But it was weird though, because right before I got out that time, it was during COVID. My mom actually called me I talked to her on video chat. It was the first time that she's ever actually just admitted that anything, she's always been like, y'all had the best childhood ever. Like, what world is this? You know what I'm saying? In what multi-universe are we talking about? The one I was in sucked. You know what I mean? But so she called me, and she told me she was sorry. She loved me. She said, is there anything you want to get off your chest? And I was like, you sure about this? And she was like, yeah. And I unleashed on her, you know what I mean? And told her what I thought. And she started crying. I won't never forget it. She was sitting in her car, started crying. She was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I know I made a lot of mistakes. And it shocked me. I'm just telling you, it shocked me. Like, 'cause, Vicky don't do nothing wrong. And so just hearing that, like, I feel like a big part of me healed. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because all my life I've been looking for that. You know what I mean? I guess, and I didn't
What have
realize it.
you been looking for?
I don't know, like, just her to admit to it. You know what I mean? And like say, hey, I dropped the ball. You know what I mean? Like, I dropped the ball with you. You know what I mean? But she did, and she admitted to everything. You know what I mean? And just started crying and told me she was sorry. She loved me, and she's like, I want to make our relationship different. And ever since that moment, like, it's been way different. You know what I mean? Like, whenever I moved in with her, we hung out, we had a good time, and it was cool being back at mom's house, I guess, at 36 or whatever. But like, we have fun. Like, it was real cool being back home. Really, you know what I mean? It's because, like, mentally, I'm telling you, like, I tell everybody this. It's like, I'm not an adult. Like, I'm not 38 in the mind. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm being serious. Like, I liked him, like that hair, girl.
Bye.
All right, bye. All right. So like, I've been locked up so much, and I've been incarcerated so much of my life, like, and I've, used when I wasn't incarcerated. You know what I mean? So, like, I've never really done what grown-ups do. You know what I mean? Like, for a long period of time. So it's
so
just
this
like,
is gonna be a learning experience, for you. Cause like whatever, like and that's actually a fact. And it's delayed maturation. So like a lot of times, and it doesn't like at whatever point a person started using, their development is arrested in that moment, can be arrested. And so the younger you are, when you begin to use a substance, you kind of get stuck there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I still listen to the same music I used to listen to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still act. You know what I mean? Like, my personality still. Which, I mean, I love my personality. I wouldn't change it for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't meet a stranger, but yeah, just like, it's just, I'm definitely not a normal 38. You know what I mean? Like,
and that part of you probably like won't change, because that's who you are at your core. Like, that's what you came into this world with, is that the charisma, like that you have. But like, just learning to changing behavior, because changing behavior is not just, we can't just do that, right? Like, we can try it, but it won't last long. So we have to have, like, there's something deep within us, in our heart and mind, has to change. So our belief system. So because what I believe, that's what I do. So if I grew up thinking I was bad and no good, I'm going to do bad, no good things until that lie is switched off and the truth is turned on, that no, I'm not bad and no good. Maybe I've done some bad things, but that's not who I am. So when that can switch, and I'm like, no, I can do good, then that's when that belief takes over, and then my behavior starts to go in that direction. So it's not until I change what I actually believe at the core, and I have to admit the stuff that I believe. Like, oh man, I believe that was a disappointment for years. So because I believed I was a disappointment, I did disappointing things and kept doing disappointing things. So it wasn't until I'm like, no, I'm not a disappointment. That's not who I am. I can do better than this. And that's when I, started doing better. So it is, we have to get in touch with the reality of what we actually believe about ourselves. And if it's not serving us, change it.
Yeah, that's what I believe in, manifesting your thoughts. Like, I believe in that. What you just said, 100%. Like, I believe that's the reason I go to sleep every night listening to YouTube, like, manifesting your, like, see your dream, believe it, and live it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I'm trying to start. That's where I'm at with it. Like, every day I wake up to a little song, and I be dancing, getting ready. You know what I mean? Like, just trying to feel good, trying to get my day going. You know what I mean? Just trying to get in the mindset of today's going to be a good day, no matter what's happening. Like, I'm going to make, whatever bad situation
You're
gonna
good
figure
at
it
that.
That
Yeah.
yes.
He's,
well,
I mean,
yes.
he's always been the happiest person I've ever talked to while he's been incarcerated. He just
Yeah,
makes
like
the
my
best
papa.
out of it.
Hey, my papa used to tell
Yeah.
me, he goes, every time you call here, you just the happiest person. You know what I mean? He said, that jail
Yeah.
prison don't bother you at all. And I'm like, you don't see me whenever I get off the phone and I go cry in my bunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you don't get to see that part, papa. But like, yeah, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I just, you learn to do it. And once you've been dealing with it for so long, you know what I mean? Bad situations in your life. I mean, you got to learn, you got to have a sense of humor about it. You got to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
able to roll it off or you're going to be stuck being way too serious. And if you're being way too serious, you're not going to be healthy for yourself or anybody else around you. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
believe in being serious, but like, you just, some people you just need to be like, lighten up. You know what I mean? Like,
Lighten up, but yeah. Yeah,
yeah, just
like,
chill
do
out.
you smile or laugh? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, really? What's going on? Yeah, I'm always leery of people that are too serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's like, what are you trying to cover up? But
Yeah, like, what's really
yeah,
going on?
so
Yeah.
yeah, but you figure like, and especially in prison, like you have to, like I said, like in the hole, like you're in the hole, you're not getting out of the hole, out of that cell. Like you get a shower twice a week. Like I got to where I didn't even get a shower. I would just take a shower in my cell. Like I was like, I don't even want to go out there. Like you know what I mean? That's something that you can take away from me. I'm gonna just sit right here, work out, build up a sweat, and I'll take a shower in my sleep, like every day. But I'd be butt naked. COs be walking by, being there with a cup with water going over my head, like, hey.
Say, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But that I have heard people, talk about being, isolated, and we weren't designed for that. We weren't designed for isolation. And when that happens, I've heard so many people say how they had to learn how to occupy their mind
Yes.
in that so that they wouldn't go crazy.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I'm
Well, see,
like, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, well, you have to, you have to. And then, see, and that's what this is when I get in trouble, is when I get bored. You know what I mean? When I get
Mhm.
bored is whenever I get in trouble. So I keep reminding myself of being in the hole, sitting there. You're bored to death. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you got to figure it out though. So now I'm bored to death every day. Like, so when I get out of the house, like I'll come over here to the girls' house or, hang out with some of them.
Yeah.
See,
But
these
no, like,
days,
but seriously, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just try to stay occupied, try to stay doing something. Like, I go to the mall every other day, probably, just walk around, don't buy nothing really, just walking around looking, just talking to people. And,
yeah.
like, yeah, you got to be, learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, I guess.
Yeah, because a lot of times that's what we're trying to get away from too. Like that's where substance use begins, is because we're uncomfortable. So we're trying
Yeah.
to get away from being uncomfortable instead of learning how to sit in being uncomfortable and learning how to manage that. So if we can manage the like, okay, I'm uncomfortable, but I am gonna sit in it because this too shall pass. Then we'll be okay.
Let me get the girls. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. The post office guy.
No worries.
But
yeah, no problem. Yeah.
hey, y'all got a package, guys out here.
I love it.
I'm so sorry, you guys.
Oh no, you're good.
No, you're good.
Look, all the women are gone. I don't know. I think I'm a house alone.
Uh-oh. The women left.
I do that in life. I just run them off.
Look, I just think they had other things planned today. I don't think it was you.
I will need a signature from.
She's not here right now. She's not here right now.
Huh?
She's not here.
At all?
No.
Like she moved out here?
No, she's here, but she's not here right now.
Is there anybody sign for her?
Yeah, I'll sign for it, man. I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't want him to keep knocking. Good. I'm on a podcast, man. Hey, we famous. Look, I'm putting you on a podcast. What's up?
Do you happen to hear? Is there a Shirley for?
But I really don't know. But I'll sign if you need me to for something and give it to them. Yeah, I'll just throw it in there. How many packages they get? Girls be online shopping.
Just sign it for it.
All right, you can you might just throw that stuff in here. Thank you, man.
Sign for it.
I guess I could have paused it.
Oh no, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Like,
No, you're good.
is that it?
Handle your business.
We're talking about being on sobriety life, man. I like you've been clean, so you have a good day, too. All right. My bad, y'all.
Oh, no worries.
All right, we're back.
Yes. Yeah. So being out, so you got out a week ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So you've what are you planning to do over this next week? We're just gonna go by week.
Yeah, let's go week by week.
Week by week.
Yeah. Well, I've been to every rehab in the town trying to get a job working at one of the rehabs. The place I was supposed to get a job at, I had it lined up. My parole officer even had me a job there, but they just got put under like a federal investigation, so that didn't work out. But
yeah.
So now I've got enough clean time, you know, where I can get I'm fixing to get certified as a recovery coach.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm fixing to do that, and I'm gonna work at another rehab down the road here, but I can't do it until I do that. So I'm just waiting to get that class taken care of, and I'm probably just gonna go work at this window company right now, and they pay good, so it's a good little job to have, sure.
Yeah. Well, good for you. I'm glad you got plans and are making ways like and I think one of the best ways to help yourself to remain in recovery is helping somebody else in it. And you know, in working and becoming a recovery coach, you have that accountability. Because you know you can't do it without remaining sober. And so like that's just like it's good for us to be of sober mind just anyway. And to me, having a sober mind is not just being free of a substance, it's being free of the thinking that leads you down a path of destruction. So it's much more than just being substance free. It's handling your mental health as well, and handling my mental health. It's handling my thinking.
Yes.
You know, it's not just like, you know, some people, oh well, they have mental illness. We all have mental illness if we have bad thinking. So it's because our thoughts damage us. So if I can get a hold of what I'm thinking and believing, then you can be okay long term.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's the main reason I want to get in there. I was talking to one of the girls yesterday that actually works up there on the internet, and I really want to work in recovery, even if the money sucks, you know what I mean? But it's not about the money, you know what I mean? Like for the first time in my life, I'm seeing that. Like I want the best job that I can get, you know what I mean? Or I want, you know, to do this so I can make this amount of money, and like it ain't worth it, you know what I mean? If I could just do this recovery right now, that's the main part, you know. I got to do this recovery first, and then like doing everything else is gonna fall in line. I know it will. Like, I know everything else is gonna come eventually, but I'm so impatient. I'm the most impatient person in the world.
That's what I told you though. If you just focus on your recovery, on sobriety, then all those other things will come. You just gotta be patient, you know.
Yeah, I know it will. Like, hope's such an inspiration to me. You know, like it's just I was telling the girls before, I was like, look, if you could have seen her 5 years ago.
You want to just tell them a quick story? Because I know people probably want to hear. And Dex, you're funny at telling stories. I'm not. I can write them, but I can't tell them because I'm just not a good storyteller telling it.
Well, I'm going to tell the story about us getting pulled over in Virginia.
Do that.
All right. So Hope calls me one night, and I'm in Pittsburgh, and she's crying. She's like, brother, you just come get me. I'm like, what? What's going on? Eric hit you? And she's like, no, but just come get me. I'm like, I'm coming, you know. I'm gonna kill Eric. That was what I was thinking the whole time. I'm gonna kill Eric, you know. But I love Eric. Don't get me wrong. Eric is like one of my favorite people. Like, he's awesome, dude. But, you know, I'm in addiction, you know, so I'm just thinking, my sister called me and she's crying like, you gotta die.
Like, what did he do? Yeah.
So we're I drive all the way down there. I go get this I get this dude I know because he was buying dope from me. And I was like, look, dude, you got this new car. And I was like, I'm not driving my stuff down there. So look, I'm going to pay you. We're going to Georgia real quick to pick up my sister. He was like, you know, I got a bag of dope, so he'll do anything. You know what I mean? He's like, all right. So we drive 14 hours to get Hope. And I tell her, she's like, are you really coming? I'm like, look, I'm like halfway there. You know what I mean? Like, I've been driving for 7 hours. Well, we get there, and Hope's just a mess. You know what I mean? Like a mess. And me and hers never got high at this point ever. Really, we did a little bit of cocaine, like back in the day in the bathroom at the bar or something, but like nothing like this, you know. Yeah. So whenever I pick her up, I go in there and I see the babies. And I'm just like, man, they're getting so big. You know, I play with the boys for a minute. You're just hanging out for a second. Eric's just looking at me like he wants me to die, you know. And I was just like, all right, dude, well, she's coming with me, you know. So come on, Hope. So Hope's got this bag. And we go out there and we get in the car, and my buddy's out there just out of his mind, needless to say. Well, so me and Hope and him, we ride around. Well, immediately Hope gets in the car. She's like, I want to get high. And I'm like, you want to get high? What? Like, you never got high.
I said I was wanting a drink.
She was wanting a drink. I was like, absolutely not. You know what I mean? So, but we end up getting high together, and then she just won't shut up about getting a drink. She just, I gotta have a drink. I didn't really realize. I guess Hope's one of the worst alcoholics I've ever met. You know what I mean? Like, for real. Like, and that's saying something. You know what I mean? Like, she was really bad alcoholic. So she just won't shut up about. So we riding around in circles pretty much in Atlanta, and then finally the dude. We go to this hotel room, and I'm like, look, I'm getting a hotel room for the night, and tomorrow I'll drive. I've got to get some sleep. Like, at this point, look, I'm getting older now. Like, I don't stay up for weeks at a time no more. Even if I'm getting high, I'm going to get a couple hours of sleep. So I go get a hotel room.
Your body's adjusted to it at this time, so you can take a shot of meth and go to sleep.
Yeah. So Hope's in there with this guy. Do what?
Huh? I was just saying you're adjusted to it now, so you could go get high and then go to sleep.
Yeah, immediately. So Hope is in there trying to Jew this dude down from the price, and she won't shut up. She's just talking 90 to nothing. Blah, blah, blah. I got to get a better deal for you, brother. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, I'll pay the $89, whatever it is. Let's just go to bed. So I go to sleep. And we get to room, and the dude's in there. And I guess when I went to sleep, like, he must have did a shot of meth or something, because he lost his mind. Like, it was something. Like, Hope told me what he did.
He was withdrawing from heroin, and so he had the needles and the cotton balls and was trying to find the dope. You were passed out during all that.
Yeah. Well, we wake up. He done busted the window out of his car in the parking lot, and the police came. The police arrested him. So now me and Hope, we go get her Escalade. You know what I mean? And no, it was a piece of crap car. It was the biggest piece of crap car. So
it was a Buick, Dex.
Yeah, I know. I was being funny about the Escalade.
Betsy.
Yeah, oh, Betsy. So we getting Betsy, and
I miss
we're kicking
Betsy,
it.
by the way. I wish I had a Betsy. I tell the kids that all the time.
Oh man. So we're going on the interstate, and we're driving. So every Walmart we hit, I'm like, I'll show you how to do this, you know. So we're going in there. I'm just stealing. I mean, she ain't got a radio, so I got to steal like the nicest boombox. You know what I mean? I got a pocket full of money, and I'm wasting it.
I'm sitting in the car while he's doing all of this.
Yeah. And the whole time I got money to pay for it, I don't know what I was doing. I was just, I'm not giving them my money. So then we finally coming through Virginia, and I won't ever forget it. Like, oh yeah, she wanted me to get her a bottle of vodka. So finally I broke down. I go in the liquor store and I see this bottle of vodka. It's a Skull. Well, it's like $80, but I'm like, I gotta have that Skull. So I bought the Skull vodka for her. She drinks the whole thing, and it's just a nightmare. I'm driving. I'm so mad at her. I'm just like, Hope, I would kill you with my bare hands right now if I wouldn't get away with it. You know what I mean? Like, she was driving me crazy. So I'm flying coming through Virginia, just trying to get to West Virginia. And she just over there, just having the time of her life, you know, and I'm just miserable driving. And we're fighting, and she just so out of it, just being crazy. Well, we get pulled over. I got all the dope on me. I put it under my boxers. I'm like, look, we ain't got no dope in the car, Hope. This is the only thing. Hold this pipe, and we'll be out of here in a minute. Well, what does Hope do? Hope puts it in the glove department. So whenever the police is back there asking me all these questions, because I'm on parole, I'm out of state. I done went halfway across.
You told me to put it in my pants.
Yeah, I said, put this in your pants.
And I did while you were outside talking to the officer, but then he was laughing and cutting up with the officer. So I was like, we're good. I mean, I think we're good. And I was like, so I took it out because I was like, it's going to show I have leggings on and I'm not getting charged for his pipe.
So you put it in the glove compartment.
Yeah, because I got the cop. Listen, I got the cop laughing. He's just like, he's laughing, having a good time with me. He's like, dude, if you ain't got nothing in the car, I'm letting you go. I got like 2 ounces of dope on me. Like, I got like a bunch of pills on me. I got a ball on them, and you know where I put it. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, yeah, I'm good, bro. Search the car. He wasn't in the car 5 minutes. He said, what is this? And I just look at Hope. And I'm like, man, I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? And he said, you don't know what it is? I said, no, it ain't my car. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is. And he said, well, here in Virginia, this is a felony. And I was like, I just looked back at Hope like, you idiot. You know what I mean? So I'm so mad.
Well, they separate us and they start interrogating us. And then all the other officers start pulling up and tearing my car apart.
Yeah, and they can't get in her trunk because it won't even latch. I mean, so they think we got like a body in the trunk. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like, no, the car is just messed up.
Yeah, they're like, what's in the trunk? I'm like, dude, we ain't been able to get in that trunk in 6 months. If you can get in it, you can have whatever's in it. You know what I mean? Well, they end up tearing her seat up, getting in the back and seeing ain't nothing but so they're sitting there. He was like, so you really gonna let your sister get a felony charge and go to jail for a felony over a pipe? And I'm just looking at her. I'm on parole. I know I'm going back to prison right now. I'm like, I'm 1 step away from prison. So I said, look, man, it's mine. You know what I mean? It's my pipe. Just charge me. So we all go to jail. And I talked to the lady over the. I talked to the judge.
They take us to this small little office area. And Dex is laughing, and I'm upset at this point because he just thinks this is another day, a Sunday morning. Well, let's see if I'm going to go to prison today. And I'm sitting here like they have impounded my car. I have no money. Like my life is over. And he's sitting here joking around.
Yeah. So we're sitting there, and I'm just like, it's all right, sis. I got us. You know what I mean? I ain't going to let you get in no trouble. So, I talked to the judge, and I tell her about I am on parole now. I'm trying to just rescue my sister. You know what I mean? That's all I was trying to do. This is a pipe. I'm sorry. Blah, blah, blah. I got all this dope still on me now. Think about this. And so she's like, well, look, I'm going to let you out for $1,000, Mr. Mims. I was like, okay. So I've got people that owes me in West Virginia. So I call them. I tell Hope, call these people. They're going to send you the money that they owe me, and we're going to get me out, you know. Well, Hope goes to jail. Well, then they put us in a bus. This is the funniest part. They put us in a bus, transferring us to the jail. It's like an hour and away. Well, I tell everybody in the bus with us, I'm like, y'all want to get high before we get to jail? So I pull out the dope and I'm just giving people shards of ice. It's like, boom, here you go, here you go. Everybody's eating it and everybody's out their mind. Well, Hope's just sitting up there looking at me like she wants to kill me. And so we get to jail.
I was not, and I was not. There was like I couldn't get to the dope, but I wouldn't have got to it anyways. I was so mad at you.
Yeah. And then the one dude starts puking in the back of the van. You remember that? That was so crazy. I was sitting back there with me, starts puking because he'd been high so long. Well, we get to the jail. I make it through. I pass it off. I give it to one of the trustees. I'm like, look, dude, if I go to the back, bring me half of this. You can have half of it, but bring me the other half. And he's like, okay, bet. So I slip it off to him. I'm not realizing I could have kept it the whole time. I should have just kept it, but I didn't know if I was going to have to go through an x-ray or what. So I wasn't really prepared for it. So I didn't want to get caught with all that dope. Well, Hope gets out immediately. They just like, well, we're going to let her out.
I stayed there a couple hours.
Yeah, but that's immediately in my life. You know what I mean? So
it's not days.
Not years. So Hope
gets out. Not years. So to him, I just walked out. But for me, I had to sit there. Now, I did not get out immediately. I had to stay there for a few hours.
Well, Hope, that's what's called booking out. You know what I mean? It ain't no big deal. But so she goes to the hotel right across the street. My people send her the money, get her a room, and get her the money to get me out. She couldn't believe it. She was like, they really sent it. I'm like, yeah, they really sent it. You know what I mean? So they get us out. Me and Hope eventually get out.
But it wasn't that easy. Hold on. Let's just back. He was locked up. It was not that easy because I'm trying to get a hold of his Douglers in West Virginia who don't answer the phone, who's paid for me one night I have no money to my name except for I think like $20 maybe. I don't even know if I had that much. It was very much not that easy, but you finally got out.
Yeah, but they make it happen. So we get out and then we got to go get the car. And dude, we go to the Waffle House or something, and this dude's just talking to us. He's like, man, I'll give y'all a ride, man. It was cool. It was just like one of them things that happens for you in life that you really need, you know? So he gives us a ride when he gets off. We sit there for a few hours or something, and he gives us a ride out there, remember? And we get there. We don't even have enough money to really get it out. But I'm like, dude, we're not from here. Just please take this and let us go. So he takes it, and he lets us go. And then we get to West Virginia. When we get to West Virginia, I stopped by the people's house, and I had to go in their they had some stuff in the safe, and I went in their safe when they wasn't even home, and I got some dope out and everything. And then we go to my ex-wife Janine's house, and Hope and her is just in there getting high. And it was crazy. So I had to go to rehab immediately. Remember the detox to save face with the parole officer, but she ended up locking me up anyway. But yeah, that was just that's one of the stories. I got one story I could tell y'all, and it's not too long. I'll make it quick. It's just a funny look. This is the funniest one. I tell Dustin, look, it's not Glenn. This ain't bragging or nothing. This is far bragging. This is probably one of the craziest, worst nights of my life. But I'm in California, and I'm still in like work trucks and stuff. Well, I'm in the back of this business parking lot, and I see the cops drive by a few times. I just did a huge shot of ice, so I'm freaking out. And there's a drain pipe, and look, there's a 5-lane highway behind me. I crawl in this drain pipe and keep crawling. I crawl all the way across the highway. You hear me? Like hundreds of feet, hundreds of yards. Finally come up, and they finally see I'm in there, it's pitch black. I don't have a phone or nothing. I'm just crawling, like feeling like it could have been a snake. It could have been a bear in there for all I know, you know? So I finally make it out the other side, and I see this light. I see the ladder to get out, you know? So I climb it, and look, I come out of the Walmart parking lot looking like a Ninja Turtle. You hear me?
Looking like a Ninja Turtle.
I will never forget.
Because they lived on it.
I come up out the sewer on her. She's like, oh my God. And I'm like, it's okay. I look, I'm covered in stuff. You know what I mean? And the thing was so heavy to get like the top to it. You know, it's so heavy. It's heavy. So it was so hard to get that thing off. But I finally got up out of there. But that's just one of the stories. And look, there's hundreds of them. But
There's hundreds.
It just makes you just realize how far it can take you, and you just definitely. It's fun to laugh at now, but back then, it wasn't funny. It was miserable.
Because you don't realize how out of your mind you actually are.
Yeah.
Like, and it's especially with meth. Like meth is just all of them are just terrible, but the rate that it grabs people, like, so there's dopamine released when we do certain things. So, and it's released at a certain amount where our brain can actually handle it. But with meth, it produces 1,200 more times the amount of dopamine that we can handle. Yeah. So it's like, that's wild.
Cocaine's 500.
500, yeah.
And meth is 400. Yeah, so think about how much stronger.
Yeah, and I'm like,
and this is the way
it wipes it out. Your prefrontal cortex just wipes it clean.
Well, this is what I tell people. Okay, once you get clean, and you're not in active addiction no more, your brain's so used to that spike. You know what I mean? So it takes your brain years to really get all the dopamines back in level, back to where they're functioning normal. It takes years, and like,
because it takes a year. Yeah, a year for the pink matter to come back, and then your brain can, because that's like for the pink matter to come back, and then you can start thinking like clearly. Yeah, so then that's when you can actually start learning new things. I'm like, that is the wildest thing, that it completely wipes out your ability to reason, have logic, and make good
rationalize. That's why you react the way you do, or anybody really. If you've been using it, it's because, like you said, it just wipes it out. It wipes out all of that capability to think.
Yeah, because only the pleasure part of your brain is operating. At that point, which is why that's the thing that you're seeking. That's the only thing that's important, is getting the meth. But I'm like, that is the wildest thing that I'm like, well, no wonder it's so addictive.
It's one, you know what I mean? It's one of the most, but like, it really is, like, and that's why I talk to people and they're like, I got 60-day clean or 90 days clean. I'm thinking like, well, you're just now starting to, you think you're thinking clearly, but like, you're not thinking clearly yet. That's why people, like, I've always been, people tell me, I'm going to a 30-day treatment facility or something. Like, okay, I always try to vote for it. Yeah, because I'm trying to get out in 30 days. But like, really, you do need 6 months to a year. You know what I mean? Completely sober. To really get back.
I mean, I think 30 days gives you enough to detox, but I think for like life change, you definitely need like a longer time. And that's just learning new coping skills. There's a lot of things, and giving your brain time to heal. But I honestly think if you can stay sober 2 to 3 years, after that is when your brain, you can really start seeing more of like the changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you got to replace it though, because it's 21. It takes 21 days to form a habit, but it takes 64. I think it's 64 for your brain to go like, oh, this is what we do. So, but if you're just stopping something and you're not. And it's more than just replacing it. You have to realize what you've replaced it with, because if you don't, then that's when you run the risk of just, when something happens that's a trigger, you run right back to the thing, because you have no idea what you actually replaced that habit with. So I think that's more of a part where I like to help people to like, okay, what are you actually doing? You did stop, you stopped using the substance, but what are you actively doing to, when something happens, to where you're dealing with it? And coping skills are helpful, but I need a more permanent solution, because the coping skill is only going to get me so far. So it's like, okay, I can learn coping skills, but what can I do that actually helps me to literally overcome the troubles? Because that's where my place is going to be.
Like, an example of what you're like.
Give
what
an
do you mean, like,
example.
So like, okay, so say I stopped using whatever substance I was on. And so then I start, like, if something comes up, I pray. So it's helpful for me to recognize that, oh, when something goes on in my life that's uncomfortable, I pray about it. And then because I'm seeking a solution that way. And then once I get the solution, then I move forward with the solution. So versus somebody just going, oh, well, I'm sober now. I'm all good, but there's no replacing the it's so I'm just going through like thinking I'm all good, and then bam, I get slapped with
That's how relapses happen.
Like a friend dying or a family member dying, and then I'm right back into because now my mind goes, oh, what we do is we get high when tragedy happens. So if I don't change that, if I don't realize what I'm doing in the moment to actually reverse the habit, then my mind is just gonna go right back to, oh, something bad happened, we pick up this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I get it.
Yeah. So it's when we notice and recognize what we have actually done, then that's that's when it changes our brain, because our brain likes habit. It was built to protect us, actually, but some of the mechanisms that it uses to protect us actually becomes harmful. But when my mind knows that, oh no, we don't do that anymore, and I constantly tell it that that's not what we do, this is what we do, then it makes a difference.
I think that that's good, because for me personally, like, I feel like there will always be like triggers, and why I relapse is because I would always, if I got triggered by something, I would just drink over it. And I always say, I mean, if I did that, if I went by my own thoughts, I'd been a drunk a long time ago. And so for me, that was skills and things that I learned. So now because life's going to happen. For me, when I start feeling like these thoughts, this uncomfortable feeling or whatever, I reset, I identify with whatever my emotional response is. Why am I feeling this emotion? Because if I can't identify it, then I can't change it. And if I can't change it and I sit with it long enough, then I know what can happen. And that for me would be drinking, right? What I used to do. So if I sit with that negative thought or whatever that circumstance is long enough, because we can talk ourselves into these behaviors. So if I can address it, identify it, and then change it, then that's what helps me stay sober. So for me, I mean, like I pray, there's been times where I've called you, Miss Donna, when I have felt things going on since I've been sober, that I know if I stayed in that for too long, what my behavior, what that was going to do to me. So I was going self-sabotage. You know this, Miss Donna. If I stayed in that, whatever that was going on at that time long enough, I would self-sabotage, because that was what I knew. So I was accountable. I called somebody. I talked through it. I prayed. I'm doing these different things so I can move through it.
Yeah, and that's what kept you from drinking, because you learned a different way to handle. Like, drinking is not the solution. What I have to do is get in touch with what my feelings are, and why am I feeling this way, and then deal with that. So that was the replacement. So when we know what the replacement is, we can go to it. If we don't know what the replacement is, that makes it not a replacement. So I'm just going to go right back to the thing that that brought me what I thought was comfort before. All the while it's destroying everything in its path. It's taking so much from me. So we have to do the work. Like, it's not an easy thing, but practice makes permanent. So if when I'm practicing that, and I can really understand, like, oh, then my brain gets it, and then that becomes my automatic response instead of what used to be my automatic response.
Yeah. And it takes time to develop that, but I'm glad you
Yeah.
said that. It's like finding
Yeah.
something to replace it with, because you'll still have times like you may not today, but like if something happens tomorrow, like so knowing that I have something else that can replace that,
Yeah.
then is that's how people stay in long-term recovery.
Recovery. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's been now what, 23 years since I drank alcohol. And I just had to find some, like, now at first I switched seats on the Titanic. I mean, I went to I went to sodas, which were surprising when I tell people how bad my soda drinking was. They go, "Oh my God, that was an addiction." I'm like, I wasn't exaggerating. Yeah, it was horrible. To the point of I got sick from it. Had been told several times to stop drinking sodas. It was horrible. But the process of it was the same. It was just we'll call it a lesser evil. It was still harming me, but it was just doing it more slowly than the actual thing. But I had to get over, like, okay, what's causing me to feel like I need this thing so much? But it was providing comfort, for me. It was just another way to escape. So anything that helped me not to think about whatever I needed to actually think about, that was, that's what I was doing. But I had to realize that no, thinking is important. I must do that. I must think, and I must decide whether these thoughts that I'm having, if they're beneficial to me or if they're not. How are they harming me?
That's one thing that I've always learned from my dad. And my dad's always been about, it's all in your head. You know what I mean? And I figured, look, he's never been more right about anything. In real life, in sobriety, or in prison, you know what I mean? And being locked up in a hole, like, it's all in your head. It's what you make it. And like, if people could just realize how powerful we really are as a being, you know what I mean, as a person, like,
Yes.
we can learn energies in ways, and like, your reality will change within, weeks, you know what I mean, like months.
Yes.
Completely different situation, but you've got to really channel your energy and think positive and be positive and put yourself around positive people and successful people. And but like, yeah, it's all in your head. That's what my dad always told me. It's like, son, it's all in your head. I'm just like, I wish it was that easy. You know what I mean? But really, I mean, and when after the detox, you know what I mean? After the physical's gone, it really is all in your head. You know what I mean? Like, you can figure out a way to navigate it. You can beat it, and dad's the most headstrong in the world. That's all he does is work. He's just so successful. He's always been successful. Last 20 years, he's really done good for himself. And like, I love him to death. Like, he's one of my best friends too. Like, I'm lucky, man. Like I say, my best friend, like, real, my uncle, my brother, my sister, my dad. Like, I'm just lucky to have him. You know what I mean? Like, now.
Yeah.
Even though he tells it how it is, he don't cut no corners, That's what you need to hear. You don't need no.
You really do. Yeah. I like to tell people, just land the plane with me. Don't beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Just land the plane so that it's not gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've enjoyed you, Dex. I love you.
I love you too. I'm proud of you. I love you so much.
I'm proud of you.
And look, come back on anytime. We'll be glad to have you. Give us updates on how everything is going.
Sure. Yeah, y'all gotta keep me on the schedule.
Yeah, we will.
Yes, but thank you so much. We appreciate you, and we will see you guys on the next episode of the D Hope podcast. Bye.
Bye.